بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. And we are continuing with our discussion on التعبير القرآني chapter 1, almost finishing this chapter. So we have maybe one or two pages, one page remaining, inshallah, I think. Yeah, one page remaining if we finish this page today. And we are basically we are at the point where Dr. Fadil is summarizing chapter 1, and he's putting all those ideas together and trying to make us understand how marvelous the Quran is. All right. So we had done this paragraph a little bit. We hadn't finished it because it takes a little bit. It's a very artistic, very elaborate kind of language that paints an imagery, paints a scenery, and yeah. So that's why probably it requires a little bit of attention. So لقد كشف لهم وهم يبحثون في وجوه إعجازه عن بحار ليس لها ساحل وغاصوا في لجج ليس لها قعر وكل عاد بلؤلؤة كريمة أو عقد عظيم. وبقيت, so this is where probably we're going to start today. وبقيت ثمة خزائن تفوق الحصر لم يلجها الوالجون وكنوز لا يطيقها إحصاء لم تمتد إليها الأيدي تفني الدنيا ولا تفني ويبلي كل جديد ولا تبلي. So let's try and figure that out, because we had already done the we had already like placed the i'rab markings on it, so we can do that and then we'll continue from there and probably finish this paragraph. Okay, so I'm going to try and translate that. So وبقيت ثمة خزائن تفوق الحسرة. Now again, this is very common in this text, or even just in speech in Arabic language. Yeah, sure. The idea that we have, what is it called, تقديم and تأخير. We've seen this a lot, right? We've seen a lot of taqdeem and ta'khir happening just in this book itself. Like the speaker, most of the time, he would bring, like the muta'alliq is always in the front, or you have a dharf in the front. Like he always brings stuff like that. Okay, so this is what is happening here as well. So you have وَبَقِيَتْ ثَمَّةَ خزائن تفوق الحسرة لم يلجها الوالجون وكنوز لا يطيقها إحساء. Okay, بقيت. Okay, I said I was going to translate fast. So and there, and it remains there. What remains, or rather treasures. So now this is our fa'il. This is what remains. Treasures beyond limit that no infiltrators can infiltrate. And you can say maybe coffers or treasures as well. Treasures لا يطيقها إحصاء, that treasures cannot be counted. All that is our fa'il. All right, it's kind of connected. All this remains there. That's kind of like the sentence. To simplify this sentence, or to understand this, I want you to imagine that if you replace this whole bracket with a fi'al, maybe you can say khubz, bread. وبقيت ثمة خبز. خبز بقيت. Okay, it has to be feminine because now it's not working. What is feminine that I can use? تفاحة. Okay, وبقيت ثمة التفاحة. The apple remained there. The apple remained there. This is the sentence. So he's saying that all this stuff remained there. ثمة or thamma, sometimes it comes with ta marbuta, sometimes it doesn't come with a ta marbuta. Like in the Quran, it doesn't come with a ta marbuta. فَثَمَّ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ, right? And face, and there was the face of Allah, right? In the Quran it comes. So thamma, there, it just means there. And when you hear the word there, what do you imagine? You imagine a ظرف. This is a noun of place, makan. There is a place, right? So ثم or ثمة is always going to be a ظرف. Or you can call it مفعول فيه. Yeah, because it is indicating a place. It is answering the question, where? Where did it remain? There. Okay, so this is your مفعول فيه, which can also be called ظرف. Now we know that ظرف, normally they come at the end. So you have your baqiyat and then your fa'il or whatever else, and then you have your ظرف. But we are noticing that the way the author is speaking, and also just in normal Arabic, this happens a lot, where you have a ظرف that is brought forward or a muta'alliq that is brought forward. So this is a normal thing. Yeah, by now we should be used to this, okay? This is not the Quran, so we cannot ask why is it muqaddam, why is it muakhar. Again, that's just normal speech and probably just to create more emphasis. And if you understand grammar, then you understand, okay, this is a ظرف, it was brought forward, so that's fine. Okay, so that's the structure. So what Dr. Fadil is saying, or what we had said before, is that it was unveiled to them while I want to make it easy to translate. So it was unveiled to them on oceans without shores while they were researching the different aspects of its miraculous nature, and they dove into deep depths that do not have bottoms. Okay, well, and each one of them came up with a precious pearl or well-strung necklace. And still, وَبَقِيَتْ ثَمَّةً, and there remained خَزَائِن. So you can imagine somebody dove into this endless ocean that has no bottom, that doesn't have shores, and then they could just manage a pearl or maybe a necklace. Not a lot. I mean, if we're talking about treasures, you're imagining a chest. I want to imagine, like, you know, in those pirate movies, you have a treasure chest and it's full of gold and jewelry and coins and different things. So you imagine you dive into a chest like that and you only come up with one single pearl, right? Or maybe you manage a necklace. Maybe you tried, you managed the necklace, alhamdulillah. But he's saying, but what remains there? وَبَقِيَتْ ثَمَّةَ خَزَائِنُ تَفُوقُ الْحَسْرَةِ. And whatever you leave behind, treasures beyond limit. And treasures that cannot be counted. In other words, when you enter into the Quran, and you think, oh, I noticed muqaddam, this muta'alliq bil khabar is muqaddam, you only brought out a pearl. You only came out with a pearl. Whatever remains there, treasures beyond limit. Things that you cannot imagine. And that is why for 1400 years, people have been trying to, like, if you are to compile all the books that have been written about the Quran, like, just so much content. So much content. And every time somebody thinks about the Quran, like, for example, we have Quran Reflect, right? For those of you who share your reflections, and I encourage you to share your reflections on Quran Reflect, or you can just do it through Quran.com. But anyway, the point is, you have people who have been sharing reflections on the same ayah. But all of us, when we dive into the ayah, we come out with a pearl. And the pearl that I come out with is not the same as another person that comes out with. So you can see how endless the treasure that is. That is the Quran. So that's what Samir Ra'i is saying. So that's the most important thing. We need to understand what he's saying. All right. لم تمتد إليها الأيدي. Hands could not extend or did not extend to it. So امتد يمتد, to extend, to stretch, to reach out. Right. So hands cannot reach out to it, did not reach out to this. So he's saying even hands cannot reach this treasure. Like, you can try to stretch your hands and pull out as much as you can, but you can't reach them. You can't extend to it. It's so vast and so wide and so deep and so numerous that you can't, it's innumerable. You cannot count it. Tafni dunya wala tafni. The entire earth perishes, but it does not perish. The entire earth perishes, but it does not perish. وَيُبْلِي كُلُّ جَدِيدٍ. And every new thing wears out. Every new thing wears out. وَلَا تُبْلِي. But it does not wear out. It does not deteriorate. I mean, for 1400 years, the Quran is still fresh. The Quran is still new. The Quran is still exciting. The Quran is still giving treasures abundantly. It doesn't wear out. It doesn't deteriorate. So that's the whole point of what he is saying. All right. Is the meaning clear? Are we understanding before we break it down? Okay.
Sister Ilham,
Yes.
you believe kulli jadidin wala tubli means wala tubli doesn't wear out.
Yes. Abla yubli. To wear out, to deteriorate, to become old.
And not wears out. Okay.
Yeah. So
We are taking as a I thought it's like a kind of an idea. So you're taking as a mudari, as a fail part, and doesn't wear
yeah.
out.
Yeah, it is a fi'al. أبلى يبلي أسلم يسلم.
Okay, Jazakallah khair.
Good. Okay. Any other questions?
No, still, I'm Jazakallah.
All right, great. All right, so let's break it down. بقيت فعل ماضي. Here version. بقيت already tells you there is a here version. So we know our fi'al is either the inside pronoun here or there is something feminine outside that is acting as our fa'il. And then when we look ahead, we see khaza'in, which is a broken plural. And we know broken plurals are treated as one she or one f. So that forms our fa'il. All right. So so essentially, like I said, this is a very simple structure. We have our fi'il here. This is our fi'il. This is our dharf, like we mentioned, or a maf'ul fihi. And then this whole structure in the bracket, this is our fa'il, right? That's our fa'il. So it's just fi'il, dharf, and our fa'il. Or fi'il, maf'ul fihi, and our fa'il. That's the structure we're looking at. But of course, the fa'il is not a simple word. It's not a simple ism. It's a complex ism, like it has so many parts to it. All right. And we've already discussed baqiyat, and we've already discussed thammata. And thammata, by the way, just a point here, it's always going to be thammata. It's always going to be thamma. There's no thammu, there's no thammi, there's no thammatu, thammati. La, it's always going to be thammata, right? Just like when you have other verbs, it doesn't change. Okay, so this is one of those verbs that are always going to remain the way they are. All right, so you enter into the fa'il, and then you have khaza'inu is nakira بعدها الجملة. So you have خزائن is our nakira. تفوق الحصر is our jumla. Okay, and this تفوق is feminine. فاق يفوق. تفوق referring back to the خزائن, right? So it actually means she exceeds limits. She goes beyond limits. She surpasses limits. But we know it's not referring to she, it's referring to it or they. Yeah, so it's referring back to خزائن. So تفوق is our فعل مضارع, which is also the صفة of خزائن. صفة number 1 of خزائن, right? And الحصر is the مفعول به. تفوق ماذا? It surpasses what? It exceeds what? It exceeds limits. الحصر, limits. So that's a complex صفة to خزائن. And then you have, after that, another جملة فعلية. So that's our صفة number 1. And then لم يلجها الوالجون is our صفة number 2. Right? Of still خزائن. So خزائن تفوق الحسرة, treasures beyond limits, and treasures that no infiltrators can infiltrate, and no divers can be able to dive in and get something out of it. Yeah. So that's what he's saying. Is describing the خزائن. And of course, lam, we know lam is harf nafi, and it is also jazim. It makes it majzoom. So lam yalijha. Lam yalijha, right? Makes the mudari' majzoom. Al-walijun, of course, this is the ism fa'il. Lam yalijha al-walijun, and of course, it is rafa' because it is the fa'il of yaliju. Walaja yaliju, al-walij. Yeah? So far, we good? Walijun is the ism fa'il of walaja yaliju. The same verb. Walaja yaliju. alafu sorry, and then you get walijun. Walaja yaliju fahuwa walijun. The person who goes to infiltrate. So walaja means to infiltrate something, to go into something, to penetrate something. That's walaja. So al-walij is somebody who penetrates or infiltrates or goes into, dives into something. Yeah. I think those are some of the meanings.
Still,
Yeah.
Sammata is a zarf, right?
Yes.
It's going to be like, so it, I'm sorry, but I didn't get it. Doesn't it have mudaf ilayhi?
No. This one just comes like this. It's like it's telling you where. So it literally means there. If I asked you, like literally, if I want to say, is there a problem? How would I say that in Arabic? You can say it, هل هناك مشكلة? That's one way of saying it. Or I can say, هل ثمة مشكلة? Right?
Okay, it's like that, yeah.
Yes, like that.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Yeah. So we're discussing the second sifa to khaza'in. And then you have wa, harf atuf. Oops. Wa is a harf atuf. So we have to ask ourselves, what is it connecting to? Then we look at, we have khaza'inu, and then we have kunuzun. Okay, so it makes sense that this is connected to this. All right, so this part and that part is connected by harf atuf. Well, and that's why it is kunuzun. And then of course this kunuzun is nakira بعدها الجملة. So لا يطيقها إحصاء is a sifa to kunuz. Let me enter into that sifa. يطيق إحصاء. Our إحصاء here, which means counting or numerating something. Yeah, that is إحصاء. أحصى يحصي, to count, to enumerate. Or count, even because it's a masdar, you can say count. يطيقها إحصاء. Counting is not possible. Counting it cannot bear. Counting cannot, like, it's a very, because if you are to try to translate يطيق literally, يطيق أطاق يطيق means to bear, to tolerate something, right? So he's saying counting cannot tolerate. Counting cannot tolerate. That's what he's saying. Counting cannot bear. But of course, if you were to translate that in English, then what he's saying is that cannot be counted. Yeah, you cannot bear to count it. It cannot be counted. That's what the meaning there is. So kunuzun la yutiquha isa, and kunuz that cannot be counted. Questions? Very good. And of course, the ha here goes back to kunuz, right? So you have the a'id. When you have a complex sifa, sometimes you get the a'id that it shows you like an attached pronoun like that goes back to the thing being described. Okay. And then you have لم تمتد إليها الأيدي. This looks like another sifa. لم تمتد إليها الأيدي. You have another جملة فعلية here, and we had a nakira. So this is sifa 1, and then this is sifa number 2 of kunuzun again. So now he gave us khaza'in, and he gave us sifa number 1 and sifa number 2. And then he gave us kunuzun, he gave us sifa number 1 and sifa number 2. Again, I think it's just part of his elaborative kind of speech that he's trying to do. لم تمتد إليه. Yes, go on.
I'm so sorry. There is no wow, there is no harf ataf. Then why we are taking this as second sifa to in first and second also? We can't take it as a new sentence.
You can, but I'm looking at a sifa. Why? Because you have nakira بعدها الجملة. You have this jumla number 1, and you have this jumla number 2, and then you have this ha. So here, this is why you know that is a sifa, because you have this pronoun, and this pronoun goes back to kunuz. So this sentence is describing kunuz.
Okay.
Right?
So
yeah, if you look at the Baina notes.
Yes, please.
You're saying? Go on.
Even though if there is no harf ataf or something, we just have to contextually we should understand. Yeah, there is a comma, but not what I understand is like all the time we don't get comma also. Without that, um, if it is you just made it out because it is having ha, it's going getting back to the kunuz. That's why you got it's you made it out. It's a sifa too of this kunuz, right?
Yes. And also, when you have a harf atf or you have any kind of connector, then it's not going to be a sifa because mawsuf sifa relationship, there's no fasl, there's no something that comes between. Yeah. So that's
Oh
why we say
yeah.
nakira ba'daha al-jumla. We don't say
Oh
nakira
yes.
ba'daha harf atf, then ba'daha jumla. Right?
Correct,
So
correct,
that,
absolutely correct.
yes,
This, yeah, this one is, yeah, it doesn't, it makes sense. Yeah, thank you.
exactly. Yeah. So this is our sifa number 2. And then imtadda yamtaddu. So tamtaddu, lam tamtadda al-aidi. Now here, tamtadda is feminine. So what is it referring to? If ha is going back to kunuz, then tamtad is not going back to kunuz. It cannot be. Otherwise, it won't make any sense. So what is tamtadda here? What is this feminine thing in tamtadda? What do you guys think? What is
ID,
a feminine thing? Yeah?
ID.
Yes, al-aidi. Aidi is one of the plurals of yad, hand, hand. And we know from way, way long back that body parts in pairs are treated as feminine. That's why it is tamtadda and not yamtadda. Because we know imtadda, yamtaddu. Yamtaddu is a mudara. Tamtaddu is either the feminine version or the anta version. And of course, here anta version does not make sense. So it's feminine version. So this, the here, inside here is referring to al-aidi. So al-aidi is the fa'il, is the outside doer of tamtadda. And why is it tamtadda? Isn't it supposed to be jazm?
It's in the, it is in the lightest form, so it will take that fatha.
Ah, yeah, because why? Why is it?
It's
What's
naqis
the reason?
form.
Which irregularity is this?
It's not, it's naqis, right?
Naqis means there's a weak letter at the end.
It's mudaf, I think.
Muda'af? No,
Muda'af.
I don't remember the muda'af. Okay.
Yes, muda'af, meaning that there's doubling. When you see a shadda at the end, that is muda'af. So madada. The root letters are mim, dal,
Yeah.
dal. Madda yamuddu. Yeah.
Can you
And
tell
then you
its
take it
family,
to
Sister Lam?
family
Can you
8.
write it once? Okay.
So it is imtadda,
Imtad.
imtadda, yamtaddu. Oh, what did I do? Oh, dear Lord. Right. Why is it not clear now? I don't know what I did. Ah, okay. Now it's clear. Yeah, so imtadda, yamtaddu.
Can you
And of
just once
course,
again tell the meaning, Sister Lam?
to stretch, to extend, to prolong, to reach
Is
out.
that ila, it is a harf attached to it? No, right?
Yeah, it comes with it. امتد إليها. Yeah.
It's actually
Or
tamtadid. And so it has become merged to become tamtidam.
yes.
It is tamtadid, right? Actually, it is tamtadid.
Yes, because it's
So it,
اقترب
yeah,
اقترب
yeah.
يقترب.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it fused
يمتدد.
to become tamtadid.
Yeah. And of course, when it comes to the jazm status, we have 3 kinds. Yeah, so you have يمتد يمتد يمتدي and يمتدد. Yeah, so you have 2 versions where there's a shadda and 1 version where there's a split. So most of the time they actually use the fatha. So stick with just يمتد, امتد, تمتد. Stick with that. It's more. I see that most of the time they use the fatha version, and also sometimes they would do the split امتدد. But most of the time they stick with the fatha version. Right. Any other questions
But with
or clarification?
this family, there'll be only two versions of Amal, right? Or the Mazzoom. The Kasra won't be there, right? Because it is a Fataha family. Like,
Right, right, right.
we will have two versions. Yeah.
Yeah, so mostly just stick with the fatha. That one is the safest because you'll find it everywhere and most people prefer to use it. So that one is the easiest. Or if you want to do the split, you can also do the split. Okay. Yeah, so لم تمتد إليها الأيدي. That we said that is a sifatu, unless there's any questions there. And then he says تفني الدنيا. تفني الدنيا. تفني is again the feminine version of يفني. Yeah. So we have to ask ourselves, what is this feminine thing that is perishing? I mean, no, ad-dunya, because of this alif, this is feminine. This is alif al-ta'nith al-mamduda. That's what it is called. And this one is feminine, right? Whenever you have an additional alif, whether it's alif maqsura or alif mamduda, whether it's this long alif or the daga alif, whenever you have this alif on a word that already has three root letters in it, it's basically it's extraneous. It's an extra, let's say like additional letter. Then that alif becomes feminine. It's the alif of femininity. Okay. So for example, if we're to count here, we see dal, we see noon, we see ya. Those are our three root letters. Dana, those are our three root letters. So what is this alif? It's an additional alif for femininity. All right. So this happens. And that's why a word like huda, hudan, is not feminine, because if you are to count the letters, you would see you have ha, da, and ya. So this ya is not extra. It's part of the jither. So this one is not feminine. But at dunya, you have dal, noon, and ya already. That forms the jither. So this alif is extra. So whenever you have an alif that is extra, that alif is for femininity and is going to make the word feminine. So that's how you distinguish between words that have feminine alif from words that just have alif as part of their jither. All right. So that's just a by the way. Okay. So تفني الدنيا. So the dunya perishes. ولا تفني. And it does not, or she does not perish. She who? Referring to the khaza'in and the kunuz, the treasures. So the dunya perishes, but the treasure that you left there, it does not perish. It does not expire. It does not end. Okay, so those are basic jumla fi'aliyas. It's just a fi'al. تفني, the here version, so it's fi'al and a fa'il, and that's it. So there's nothing more to discuss there unless there's a question. And then you have ويبلي كل جديد ولا تبلي. So أبلى يبلي, this is a fi'al that we're dealing with. And then يبلي is the huwa version. So we look ahead and see if we have our fa'il. And كل جديد, this إضافة here, is our fa'il of يبلي. So every new thing wears out. Every new thing deteriorates. Every new thing becomes old. Like there's nothing you're going to buy. It's going to be new for some time, but then after some time, it's going to start getting old, right? ولا تبلي, but she does not. In other words, the kunuz, the treasures, it does not. Every new thing wears out, but the treasures do not. That's what he's saying. Are we good? Any questions? All right. So let's try and go to the next part. Is there anybody who wants to read? Just clear that so that we don't have.
I can read.
Okay, great. Let me just clear this so that we can have enough a good. Right. Okay, go ahead.
فيها من عجائب صنع الله ما لو اطلعت عليه لم يعرف كيف كيف I don't know تصنعي
كيف تصنعه؟
تصنعه okay ولا تتبدى ولا تتبدى
ولا استبدى. So this is
ولا تتبدى okay
yes ولا استبدى.
بك عجب لا تنتهي وتمكن ولا ينتهي وتمكن منك انبهار لا ينقضي
Beautiful.
ومفتاح ذلك تدبره وانظر فيه
نذر فيه.
والنذر فيه
All right, great. So فيها من عجائب صنع الله ما لو اطلعت عليه لم تعرف كيف تصنع ولا استبد بك عجب لا ينتهي وتمكن منك إن okay you can call if you're gonna join this so you probably don't like read the E so وتمكن منك انبهار لا ينقضي or you can read it وتمكن منك انبهار لا ينقضي ومفتاح ذلك تدبره والنذر فيه. Okay, so what is he saying here? So he's saying that you're gonna find in it من عجائب صنع الله from the marvels, from the wonders of the creation of or of the design of Allah, right? ما لو اطلعت عليه, that if you were to be informed of this design, or if you were to be cognizant, if you're to be aware of this design, لن تعرف كيف تصنع. You wouldn't know how to construct it. You wouldn't know how to do it. You wouldn't know how to come up with this design. وَلَاسْتَبَدَّ بِكَ عَجَبٌ لَا يَنْتَهِي. And wonder that doesn't end, an endless wonder would overcome you. وَتَمَكَّنَ مِنْكَ انْبِهَارٌ لَا يَنْقَضِي. And again, like wonder or amazement, or I think, amazement. Endless amazement will seize you, right? And the key to all that is reflecting on it deeply and looking into it and or exploring it. So that's what he's saying. He's saying that, you know, there's so much wonders of the design of Allah. Like I'm doing Surah Al-Qamar right now, and I tell you, in a couple of weeks, we'll be finishing the surah. And I was working on the thematic structure and how the whole surah is organized and how like the different connections and whatnot. And subhanAllah, it blew my mind because I came up with like, I don't know, 5 different structures, and I was like, everything is so perfectly organized. The order is just I can't like I had to sit down when I was done. I was like, subhanAllah, this is something mind-blowing. Like it's so amazing. You would get to experience the design of how Allah works. And if you were given the ingredients, like if you're given the information and you were told, okay, come up with this, you wouldn't know. Because nobody, like, let's take the Quran, because we are talking about the Quran anyway. And I gave you the structure. I told you Surah Al-Qamar is made up of 5 main parts. And I want you to create a document that mirrors these 5 different sections. And inside those 5 different sections, each of those 5 sections have to mirror each other inside of it. And then you have to have a central theme in each one of these 5 sections. SubhanAllah, like, it's mind-boggling stuff. Nobody writes like that. So even if I gave you all that information, I told you, write me a literature, a piece of literature with all that, you wouldn't be able to do it. And that's why the Quran has a challenge. That's what the Quran challenge. It says, bring forth a surah like it. You can't. Even a 3 ayah surah, like Surah Al-Ikhlas, or the shortest surah, Kawthar. Yeah, come up with Surah Al-Qamar. You can't, because the design is just, it's divine. That's what I can say. The design is godly, it's divine. There's nothing like it, right? So ما لو اطلعت عليه لم تعرف كيف تصنع ولاستبد بك عجب. And just the wonder will just overcome you. You would be gripped with wonder. You would be amazed. Yeah, so that's what he's saying in this ayah. And miftahu dhalika, and if you want a key to that, if you want to experience that, the key to that is tadabburuhu wa nadhru fihi, is to ponder over the Quran, to reflect on the Quran, to look into it, to explore it, to research it, to find out what is Allah. That's the only way you're going to see all this design and this marvelous structure and this all the wording and all the amazing things. That's the only way. But most people who just come to the Quran at face value, what do they say? Oh, it doesn't have flow. Oh, it doesn't have structure. I don't understand it. It keeps jumping from one place to another. It keeps jumping from you to we to them to who. Who are these pronouns referring to? Because you're coming to it at face value, because you're treating it like some other book. This is not some other book. There's no book that has been written like this ever. That is what Dr. Samir Rai is telling us. And wallahi, it's true. I have experienced this myself. And every time I go to the Quran, it stops me. It stops me in my tracks, and it humbles me. This is the Quran. And that is what Dr. Fadil is saying. Is the meaning clear? All right, great. So let's now try and figure out what is being said here. So fiha, of course, this is jar majroor. It's going to be muta'alliq to something. Then we have min ajaib sun'illahi, another jar majroor. Okay. So then we have to ask ourselves, okay, what is this min? What kind of min is this? Yeah. So this, I would look at it as a min zaida, or min tab'idiyya, like a min, that, you know, that min that says this, like a part of something. Yeah, I would look at it that way. So I would say, like, the original sentence was fiha ajaibu sun'illahi. In it are the treasures, the wonders of the design of Allah. But then min is a part of it, not all of it. Because if I said in it are the wonders of the design of Allah, then I'm insinuating that all the wonders are in this book. But that's not what Dr. Fadil is saying. It's just a part of the wonders of the design of Allah. I mean, who knows what other designs Allah has made? I mean, we don't even know how the angels look like. We don't even know what that design is all about, right? We don't know Jannah. Ma aynun ra'a, no eye has seen, no ear has heard, no imagination has conjured. Like, we don't know how that's gonna. So this is just a part. This is just min ajaibi sun'illah, from the wonders of Allah. Allah, right? So we have jar majroor, and I will look at this as my mubtada, right? I will look at this as a mubtada because I'm taking this min as zaida, right? It will make it majroor, but if I remove it, the meaning does not change. Or if you look at it as min tab'idiyya, it's min tab'idiyya min zaida. I'm not so sure. I think I've forgotten something there. That's something I'm probably gonna have to research. I'm not so sure if من تبعيدية is also من زائدة. I'm not so sure, to be honest. So that's one way of looking at it, right? Mm, okay, so من تبعيدية, like if I said, let me do a pathetic drawing here of a cake, right? And then I cut this cake and I take out a piece of that cake. Then I'll say that this piece is from this cake. Yeah? This is from this. So it's a part of a whole. That's what min tabi'idiyya means. It means that this is a part of it. It's not the entire thing, it's just a part of it. That is min tabi'idiyya. Okay? I hope that's clear. I will have to confirm on the min zaid, if min tabi'idiyya can act is يعني considered a min zaida or not. That part I'm a bit confused.
Sister Ella.
Yeah.
I know I'm not having a right thought process, but I would like you to fix it up. Can't we take this sana'a as the verb and Allah as the file, and then we have fiha and min ajaib coming together for this, like Allah made in it miracles, or He produced in it miracles.
Though you would need a
And
a'id, so you'd probably say صنعها Allah. You probably need a
why do we
a'id
put an ayah?
because
There
it's
is
going
an
to be a
ayah with
sifa.
up.
You will be taking
Sifa.
this as a sifa to ajaib. That's the only way you can make that
No.
connection.
No, we can't. Can't we have a fail and we and then we have the mutallaq will fail brought before it? It sounds weird. I know.
No, but then what would be the meaning? صنع الله من عجائب. What would that mean?
Yeah, like Allah produced in it miracles, or
No, that's not what he's saying. He's saying
okay.
miracles are in it. Some of the miraculous design of Allah is in it.
In it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm trying to understand what he's also saying is important. And yeah. Yeah, so this is mudaf ilayh. Ajaibi sun'illahi. Right?
Can
From
you
the
say it like
wonder.
these are one of the miracles, or these are some of the miracles of the designs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
Yeah, that's min tabi'idiyya, basically some or a part of. That's what it translates to, yeah. Yeah. In it are some of the wonders of the design of Allah. Right? Okay. Then he says, من عجائب صنع الله ما لو اطلعت عليه, that if you tried to, if you اطلعت, اطلع, did I explain this word? I don't know if I did, but maybe I should. So اطلع from the root word طالع. Basically, when we say طلع means to rise, like we say طلع الشمس, the sun rose, or طلع النهار, morning or daylight has risen, has become, right? And then you take it to اطلع, to طالع, for example, family 3 means to peruse something, to go through something. طالعت المقالة, I went through the maqala, the journal or something like that, or مجلة, magazine, right? Or al-qissa, the story. طالعت, perused. study, like go through something quickly. And then you have اطلع. When it comes with ala, most of the time it comes with ala, it means to be well aware of something, to be cognizant, to be informed about something. What other meanings are there? Yeah, to obtain information, maybe even. It can also come with the meaning of examining. You can look at it that way. But I think here mostly it has the meaning of if you had the information, if you obtained the information about the design, or if you were well aware or well informed about the design. Okay. So لو اطلعت عليه no, sorry, it's not talking about the design, but it's talking about just it. Like if you're given information about it, the Quran. Yeah, if you're given the information about it or about something, you wouldn't know how it was made, or you wouldn't know how to make it. لم تعرف كيف تصنع. You wouldn't know how to make it. So even if I gave you the building blocks of how to make it, you wouldn't have the idea of how to go about it, right? Yes, what kind of mat is this? That's a good question that I'm still struggling to answer, because I'm not so sure about this min here. Because if I figure out what kind of min that is, probably it's min tabi'idiyya. Probably, most likely 19% it's min tabi'idiyya. And if it's min tabi'idiyya, I don't remember if it is zaida or not. Because if it is not zaida, then that makes that first part our متعلق, which means this becomes a mubtada, right? So فيها ما لو اطلعت عليه, or ما لو اطلعت عليه, but then I don't think it makes much sense. فيها من عجائب صنع الله ما لو اطلعت عليه. What kind of ma is this? I think I need to refresh my memory on the types of ma. I don't remember even what kind of ma. It's not that. ما شرطية. But if it's ما شرطية, then you have لو, which is another شرط. Or maybe just ما زائدة. Let's see what ما زائدة does. Because I don't see, if I remove it, I don't see anything happen. Because if we say لو اطلعت عليه without the ما لو اطلعت عليه, I don't think it adds anything. So let's see. Extraneous ma, if you remove the meaning.
Can
Go
it
on.
be ma mustaqiyya, acting like sifa to ajayib? Like you can use Allah, you can use the ma also over here.
Yeah.
So it is like an
Yeah.
ajayib, like you are aware, but you don't know how to construct.
Yeah, but then the only problem I have is that Aid is who? عليه, not عليها. So that's why I was a bit like confused. Like it can't go back to ajaib, because ajaib is feminine.
Could we take it to then the design, sunnah, like construction?
عجائب صنع الله.
Can we take it to sunnah?
Wait, this is an idafa, so it's masculine.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Then yeah, that closes my confusion. Yeah, that was my confusion right there. Because I was thinking into ajaib, and ajaib was feminine. Yeah. Then in that case, it solves the problem. So this is an idafa. So the whole idafa is masculine, because we look at the mudaf ilay. Mudaf ilay is lafdul jalala. Lafdul jalala is masculine. So that's why it's alayhi. Because I was wondering what this alayhi is going back to. Yeah, in that case, then this ma would be the sifa of ajaib. Right. Yeah. So this whole thing ما لو اطلعت عليه لم تعرف كيف تصنع. all the way up to there is صفة to عجائب صنع الله. Great. And then of course this is ما موصولة, and inside it the sila is a جملة شرطية. So the sila is a جملة شرطية. Then you have لو is your أداة الشرط. اطلعت that's why it's مجزوم. اطلع. But this is of course فعل ماضي, so it's not really affected. You don't get it مجزوم, or it doesn't show its jazm status. In other words, it's مجزوم, but it doesn't show, right? Because it's فعل ماضي. So لو اطلعت إذا اطلع إذا فعل فاعل is أنت. If you were to examine, if you were to be cognizant, or if you were to be aware of this design, عليه of course comes with اطلع to give you the meaning. So this is married to اطلع. لم, and this لم is our جواب الشرط. So اطلع عليه, this is our شرط. And then لم تعرف كيف تصنع, this is our جواب الشرط. So لم تعرف, لم is حرف نفي and also جزم. تعرف, this is our فعل مضارع, that's why it is مجزوم. And then لم تعرف ماذا, what wouldn't you know. كيف تصنع, this كيف تصنع is في محل نصب مفعول به, right? في محل نصب مفعول به. Then you enter inside كيف تصنع, and then now you have to ask yourself, okay, كيف is اسم استفهام. Now that brings us to the discussion of استفهام, which I keep forgetting. And then you have كيف, in that sense, I think would be the مبتدأ, and then تصنع would be the خبر, right? So this would be our مبتدأ and this would be our خبر, and of course it's a جملة فعلية تصنع, أنت تصنع, which is our فعل and our فاعل, right?
Sister Ilham, لم تعرف كيف تصنع, this كيف is مفعول به of تعرف.
Yes, the whole thing. كيف تصنع.
كيف تصنع. The question حرف استفهام can be مفعول به, sister.
Yes, it can be مفعول به. So I'm not so
Okay,
sure here if it is مفعول به of تصنع or not, because again I don't remember the rule. That is يعني أسماء الاستفهام, they just for some reason they won't stick in my brain. I've tried, but I don't know why I can't remember, because I know there's two ways. It's not مفعول به, it's going to be مفعول حال actually. So I don't know if it's a حال or it's a مبتدا, or can it be something else? It can be something else actually. It can be 3 or 4 different things depending on what comes after it. So if the فعل that comes after it is صنع يصنع,
I think
this is
it sounds more like مفعول حال.
it's a حال, right?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds like a hal, because if you reverse it and you make it a statement, then how did you make it, and how is the question that is answering the hal, the status, right? So it should be
Yeah.
hal.
Yeah, makes sense, because this صنع يصنع is a فعل that can take a مفعول به, and the
Yeah.
مفعول the مفعول is not mentioned. So in that sense, yeah.
كيف is a حال of صنع, sister Ilham?
Yes.
Yeah.
حال تصنع of
تصنع.
تصنع.
Yes. So because اسم استفهام has to come at the beginning of the sentence, that's why it's at the beginning. Normally we have the حال come after, right?
Yeah.
It was supposed to be تصنع كيف. That was supposed to be.
Yeah.
But because it's an اسم استفهام, it comes at the beginning. So كيف تصنع.
اسم استفهام, so it comes in the beginning. Is there
Always.
that is the reason it اسم
I
استفهام
shouldn't say
should come in
always.
the beginning.
Yeah, 99%. I shouldn't say always. 99% of the time, اسم استفهام comes at the beginning. There are a few exceptions.
This is not this is not question. This is kaifa is not question word, sister Ilham. This is question word, right?
It is a
How?
question word that asks how. What, like how? How means hal, right? Like I'm asking
This is
the
not
state
called
of
harf
something.
istifham. This is ism istifham.
Yes, اسم استفهام. It's an ism.
Okay.
Yeah. because it answers the question how. In fact, the question itself is how. So that's how you know it's a hal, right? Like ماذا and ما, they're اسم استفهام, but they're asking what. So therefore, they become مفعول به. This one asks how, therefore it becomes a hal.
Becomes hal. Yeah. Yeah.
Get it?
Straightforward hal because of how.
Yeah. Same thing with أين. أين asks where. So automatically it's
Fihi.
going to be a مفعول فيه. Exactly. Right. متى,
But we
time.
need to
When.
make it type. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Same thing. So that's how you do, you understand some of those اسم استفهام. But it depends. Not all the time it's going to be a hal. Not all the time. I mean, this is, most of the time it's going to be a hal, but there are other ways in which you can look at it as well. And I always confuse them. It always just, yeah. Anyway, let's not waste any more time on اسم استفهام. ولا استبد بك عجب لا ينتهي. استبد, يستبد. Yeah. So it was supposed to be استبدد, استغفر, يستغفر. But because it's مضاعف, they join the last two letters. استبد, يستبد. And this means to overcome, to grip. What else can I think of? Overwhelm, right? To be overwhelmed by something. Sorry, come again?
Yeah, ORM. And this
Yes.
this wal is giving us the concept of should, right? Is it? That the miracles should overwhelm you since you have gone through this whole situation.
Let me think. ولا استبد بك عجب لا ينتهي. Why can I think? Because that would be lam al-amr.
Yeah, it should be. And since it's a Madi, so it is not having any effect on it.
Right. Why am I not like, oh, my mind has stopped working as far as that is concerned. And maybe that's a good point to stop because I think we've been going on for enough for a long time now. And I think I need to figure out what kind of lam that is. You could be right, but I just need to clarify
So
maybe. And
Samia,
then
can
I
you
can
please
start.
repeat it again? What did you say
lam
again? Can you please repeat it?
استبدأ.
Yeah, she just said some points, Stella.
Oh yeah, she's suggesting if this lam, this la, so you know this la is lam plus istabadda. La istabadda. Yeah. So they just
Because
joined
it's
it.
in
La.
because it is in jazm form. That's why she's saying this could be a this should form.
And so this is, yeah, but it's madi, so it's not showing that it is in jazm status because it's fi'l madi istabadda. So so Samia is suggesting that if this could be lam al-amr, and for some reason my brain has stopped working and I cannot think.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, I cannot like figure out what this kind of lam this is. It could be. I'm not ruling it out. Probably it is, maybe, but I just haven't thought about it much, and I don't want to make a conclusion when I'm not like sure or even like close to, because I haven't really thought about it, to be honest. Yeah, because I just read it and I continued. Yeah, that's what happens when you don't scrutinize everything. That's what happens when you just read the book. When you read the book, you don't notice most of these things. But anyway, we're doing this for the purpose of trying to figure out how the language works so that we can implement it. All right. Okay, so we can pick this up tomorrow. We can start from this lam and this probably this slightly weird structure is the bid, and then probably we can finish the page tomorrow, inshallah. We'll see how it goes. Any other questions, clarifications? Okay, great. All right. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Wa alaikum assalam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep you in afiyah, rahmah, and naimah. Amin.
يا رب